Matt Levi Investigates is brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. HMSA, caring for our kupuna and Hawaii's families. It's our promise and our privilege. Kamehameha Schools. HGEA, 42,000 strong, working for Hawaii. Hawaiian Electric, empowering you. Hawaii Pacific Health, creating a healthier Hawaii.
There are now nearly 1.5 million people living in Hawaii. 17%, some 244,000 residents, are over 65 years old. The elderly are living longer, and by the time they reach their golden years, many have accumulated substantial assets and are targeted for the taking. Our Hawaii elderly deserve to be protected, but in many cases they are not, and end up victimized. As we will see tonight, abuse comes from many causes and in many forms, from physical assault and neglect to financial exploitation. The brutal reality is that much abuse is within the family, where unresolved conflicts can lead to hostility and worse. Our report, Target the Elderly, when we return.
Scammers never let an opportunity pass them up, and the new, safer Medicare card is no exception. Your new Medicare card will have a number on it that looks like this. It's valuable and needs protection. So here are 3 things you can do to protect your new card. 1, make sure you share it only with trusted healthcare providers or when you contact Medicare. 2, carry a photocopy of the card with a few characters blacked out in case your wallet is stolen or lost. 3, don't leave your number in emails or on your computer in digital files. They could be easily intercepted. One final note of advice, when you get your new card, destroy your old one, but don't put it in the trash, shred it. For more fraud tips, visit aarp.org.
I'm a mother,
A sister. A supervisor.
A best friend.
I'm a survivor.
I never give up.
I take care of everyone.
But sometimes I need help taking care of me.
They are the women of Hawaii, and we are here to keep them healthier. From women's primary care to maternity care and much more. Hawaii Pacific Health.
Identity is the heart of innovation. It's in our DNA. It defines who I am, who we are. It is our connection to everything around us and each other. It's honoring our past to guide us forward, from Kumu and Makua to Homana and Keiki. It is our kuleana to ensure our legacy continues.
If you enjoy having a 40-hour workweek, give a union a shaka. If you value safer working conditions, family medical coverage, and paid sick leave, give a union a shaka. If you appreciate retirement benefits and better pay, let's see that shaka. Because it took 80 years of middle-class workers standing together to earn the many job benefits we all enjoy today. What can your union do for you? Why don't you ask them? A message brought to you by HGEA.
Sadly, the number of elderly abuse cases prosecuted on Oahu has increased by 300% in just the last 10 years. And despite the growing need to catch and prosecute perpetrators, it's estimated that only 1 in 40 cases in Hawaii is ever reported, particularly those cases involving family.
Is there something in the Hawaii culture that makes people more reluctant to ask for help?
Shame is first and foremost.
Kano oversees Hawaii's most vulnerable elderly.
That's what prevents, I believe, a lot of reports not being filed. Is shame, embarrassment, not wanting to get their loved ones in trouble.
And that's more prevalent here than elsewhere.
I believe so because of our multi-generation culture. A lot of generations are living within the same household.
Scott Spallina supervises the city prosecutor's elder abuse unit. He agrees with Kano that Hawaii's culture can discourage reporting, often in cases of domestic violence against the elderly.
We have a lot of Asian influences here, and especially here, although it happens in the mainland as well, where a lot of seniors believe that what happens behind closed doors or every man has his own castle type of situation. And that allows, unfortunately, domestic violence to permeate because you don't want to turn in your neighbors. Or we get a lot of people saying like, oh, he seems such a nice man. You see this on television a lot when the news interviews neighbors of somebody that was very, very violent. He seemed like such a nice guy. He was smiling to me. I can't imagine him doing that. Or at work, he's a good worker. But you don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
In preparing this report, we heard chilling stories of abuse. This grandmother, who asked us to hide her identity, suffered 40 years of mental and physical abuse before escaping from her husband's control a short time before she spoke with us.
Describe the beatings.
He would just punch me in the face, hit me in the mouth, punch my arms, punch me where it couldn't be seen, and it was repeatedly. Everything that didn't go his way, he would just snap and just use it on me. If he was upset with other people, he would find something to use against me so he could take his frustration out.
The beatings continued for months and then years.
How did you hide the physical marks from the beatings?
My family would call me and I don't have my marks on my face. I'll find excuses. So they wouldn't ask me why. I would just say I had a virus, that it was contagious, and that I couldn't see anyone. And then it was the beating below my neck. I could hide it with my clothes because then nobody could tell.
In terrifying detail, she told us the lengths her husband went with his abuse. One night, she was thrilled at first because he took her to Waikiki for dinner and a show. Then they went to a hotel. At one point in the evening, he left their hotel room. She was alone. When her husband returned, the ordeal began.
Maybe 20 minutes later, I got a knock on the door. And when I opened the door, it was a guy. Didn't know who he was. And then my spouse walked behind him. He says, oh, this is for you. And like, what? I didn't understand. Because I was really feeling good too. He hired him to do things to me. And I felt kind of comfortable because that's not me. I'm never like that. I'm more true to my partner, but I felt kind of comfortable. But knowing how he is, this is something he had planned. And I had to go along with it, which I didn't feel too comfortable. So he did things to me that I'm so ashamed of. In his eyes, he didn't care. And because I didn't do what he wanted, when he left, he abused me and beat me up in a hotel room.
He brought a man you didn't know.
I never knew who he was.
And he had the man have sex with you?
Yes. To do things to me, yes.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe I really don't know if it's just a thrill for him or to see if he can handle if I was with someone. I don't know.
And what happened as a result?
So then that's when the beating started.
Your husband beat you because you didn't do those things that the man wanted you to do.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to kill myself.
Finally, she could no longer hide her abuse. It was discovered at her job.
The guard saw me because I have to pass through a guard. They pulled me in the office and told me what happened. And I didn't know it was so noticeable. Look at you. You're all bruised up. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God. So she said, I expect you to do something. If not, I will turn you in. And the guards were my friends. She helped me by finding the help, which is going to court and file a TRO, which is what I did.
And so, a new chapter begins. So far, it has not been easy. At the time of our interview, she was living in a shelter.
Well, I'm still afraid, but I didn't have to wake up like he's there. Or when I'm sleeping, oh, he's coming. I didn't have that anymore. Because at home, I just didn't know when he would come and attack me.
She is now trying to start over, to build the life she never had. She says she doesn't want others going through the decades of abuse she suffered.
Once a guy hits you, it's time to leave because it's not going to stop. No matter how many times I apologize, it's never going to stop. I know I've been in that relationship for 40 years, and I should know.
Her story has inspired those she went to for help.
It's hard to imagine how brave a person has to be to have suffered the way she has, to be traumatized the way she is, and to muster the strength it takes to tell strangers and her community what she's been living with. She's been living with this secret for 40 years. I'm amazed that she's using her voice. But the gift is her using her voice will inspire others to speak up and reach out and get help.
When we return, another grandmother, this one confronted and beaten by a stranger in her own home in Kahala. And the prosecutor, whose only job is to go after those who target seniors, in cases from assault to financial exploitation. He educates the elderly with a mixture of stern warnings and humor.
What machine should I use to impress that lady over there? And the trainer said, I'd recommend the ATM machine in the lobby. Okay.
At Hawaiian Electric, we keep the lights on, at home, at school, and at work. We're committed to a 100% clean energy future while investing in a stronger, more resilient electric grid. And we'll get there working together. By supporting our local charities, we're strengthening our communities and partnering with you to create a better Hawaii. The Hawaiian Electric Companies, empowering our 100% clean energy future, empowering our communities, empowering you.
I'm a new father, and I want my wife and my baby to have the best healthcare plan, the best. My company's health plan lets us choose the very best doctors, and that's a benefit I always want to have.
At HMSA, we're committed to the highest quality care, doctors, and hospitals.
I'm taking care of my family. HMSA helps me do that.
To learn more, visit hmsa.com.
Identity is the heart of innovation. It's in our DNA. It defines who I am, who we are. It is our connection to everything around us and each other. It's honoring our past to guide us forward from Kumu and Makua to Homana and Keiki. It is our kuleana to ensure our legacy continues.
I'm a mother, a sister, a supervisor,
A best friend.
I'm a survivor.
I never give up.
I take care of everyone.
But sometimes I need help taking care of me.
They are the women of Hawaii, and we are here to keep them healthier. From women's primary care to maternity care and much more. Hawaii Pacific Health.
This retired kindergarten teacher in her 70s drove home after shopping and found a motorcycle parked in her garage in Kahala. A large man came out from the front of the house and told her he was there to fix her air conditioner. When she told him she hadn't called anybody, he started to leave on his bike. Then she saw that her front door was damaged. She started yelling at him. He stopped his bike, ran up to her, and attacked.
He first put his hand against my face and just banged my head, and then he held my arms and then banged my whole body repeatedly, like 20, 30 times. I thought he would never stop. And so my eyes were all bruised, and then my arms were all bruised, and then my head was cracked open, but I didn't know at that time. I just told myself, I'm not gonna go down.
At only 4 feet 11 inches tall, her attacker was a foot taller and outweighed her by 150 pounds. But as she was being assaulted, this brave grandmother told herself to stand her ground and try to fight back, because she had a secret she hoped her attacker would never discover. Her infant granddaughter, who had been with her that day, was sleeping in the car just a few short steps from where her grandmother was being beaten. Thankfully, the baby did not make a sound.
There's so many what ifs. What if he knew she was in the car? What if I was carrying her? You know, what would he have done? Would he have still attacked me?
After beating her, the man ran into her house, then back into the garage, where he was confronted by a workman who had seen the commotion from across the street. The attacker tried to blame her.
But then he told the guy, that lady is crazy. She just attacked me with a knife.
She heard the attacker then threaten to shoot the workman who had come to her aid, and the two men started fighting in the garage. At some point, the attacker was able to get on his bike and drive off. He was caught later that day and eventually prosecuted. Authorities say he has a history of drug abuse and other crimes. His elderly victim is much more cautious in how she lives, and she is still angry.
And it's not his first offense. He was just released from prison, and I think for doing something similar, and he turned around and is repeating the offense, and so I am angry.
For the past 10 years, this deputy city prosecutor has headed a unit whose sole responsibility is prosecuting crimes against seniors, including random acts of violence, such as the attack in Kahala.
It's incredible. They'll be at a bus stop, and then randomly they'll get attacked. And it's very, very sad because these people are not doing anything wrong. They're not doing any sort of dangerous behavior of going out late at night to unsafe neighborhoods or what like that. They're in their homes. We're seeing a lot more break-ins of homes, a lot more desperate people breaking into homes during the daytime. They might like knock on the door and say, okay, no one's home, I'll break in, not realizing that maybe the senior is taking a nap, or not realizing that maybe the senior is hard of hearing. And then we have a situation where you have a senior encountering a stranger in their house.
Spallina and his unit handle a wide range of crimes against seniors, including the 2010 case against care home nurse's aide Mark Genetiano, who was eventually found guilty of sexually molesting 4 elderly women patients, each suffering degrees of dementia. Their ages, 89 to 92. Genetiano received jail time and a requirement he register as a sex offender. The largest number of cases against seniors are categorized as financial exploitation. This crime speaks to the nature of the target seniors represent. Many elderly have money and are extra vulnerable because they are isolated and lonely. The perpetrators are held in low regard by those who go after them.
Well, I rank them pretty low, like they don't have a conscience.
While the largest number of financial abusers are family members, that is not always the case. In 2013, Susan Chin, originally from New York, was sent to prison for theft and money laundering. She was found guilty of persuading 86-year-old Catherine Ganeko to turn her Oahu home over to Chin. The prosecution said Chin then sold the home and kept the money, more than $600,000. Ganeko had this advice after Chin's sentencing.
You have to know that person before you really get to, be close. And don't listen to anyone, just get your own opinion first.
Susan Chin has since been released from prison. It came out at trial that the elderly woman she targeted suffered from dementia at the time of her dealings with Chin. Victim Catherine Ganeko is now in her 90s and under care on the mainland.
I'm a new father, and I want my wife and my baby to have the best healthcare plan, the best. My company's health plan lets us choose the very best doctors, and that's a benefit I always want to have.
At HMSA, we're committed to the highest quality care, doctors, and hospitals.
I'm taking care of my family. HMSA helps me do that.
To learn more, visit hmsa.com.
At Hawaiian Electric, we keep the lights on, at home, at school, and at work. We're committed to a 100% clean energy future while investing in a stronger, more resilient electric grid. And we'll get there working together. By supporting our local charities, we're strengthening our communities and partnering with you to create a better Hawaii. The Hawaiian Electric Companies, empowering our 100% clean energy future, empowering our communities, empowering you.
If you enjoy having a 40-hour work week, give a union a shaka. If you value safer working conditions, family medical coverage, and paid sick leave, give a union a shaka. If you appreciate retirement benefits and better pay, let's see that shaka. Because it took 80 years of middle-class workers standing together to earn the many job benefits we all enjoy today. What can your union do for you? Why don't you ask them? A message brought to you by HGEA.
The types of swindles targeting the elderly make a long and varied list.
Okay, the grandma scam. We hear about this when you're at home late at night and you get a phone call saying that your son, daughter, adult child got into trouble and you need money to bail them out. Last time I was at Hawaii Kai Retirement Home, an elderly lady approached me saying she had just got that call the night before, and she sent them $1,500. If you're a parent or grandparent, the worst call you can get is saying that your child or grandchild's in trouble. I mean, especially if it's late at night and they say that this money will help them out a lot. Sometimes you want to act before you think.
Authorities say get a mailbox that locks to prevent your mail from being stolen.
And especially do not ever, these days, if you have a mailbox with one of these red flags, don't put your check there and then raise the red flag, thinking that, okay, the postman's going to notice my red flag and take my bill or take my check. Who else is going to notice it? The criminals.
Do you need home repairs?
You get these door-to-door salespeople saying, oh, I just finished a job down the street. I got some extra material. I can redo your roof for a couple $1,000s. Or I got my guys around the corner. We just finished a job. I can trim your tree. I can do this, can do that for a couple $100s. And we've had people over and over again give money and then aloha, the guy's gone.
This Mililani couple, Corazon and Wendell Formales, were home when a young woman came to the front door. Her husband waited outside.
And she said, oh, hi, Auntie. I said, who is this calling me Auntie? I don't recognize her. And then she said, you don't remember me? I used to live across the street with Grandma Yamada. And he said, Grandma Yamada, yeah, that's right. She lives there, but I don't remember any kids there. And so I unlocked the door, and then I was gonna go out and talk to her outside, but then she pushed herself in, and she gave me a hug, and she said, I'm glad to see you, Auntie. And she even kissed me, says, oh, they're friendly.
Soon, the conversation turned.
She was saying that her husband is in the roofing company, and she want to give us a free check if our house is leaking, if the roof is leaking. And then she said that she went out and called the husband, and he came in and introduced to us, and my husband helped him go around the bedrooms and up to the living room.
The thieves then saw surveillance cameras pointed at them inside the house. Retired accountant Corazon and former Pearl Harbor mechanical engineer Wendell had bought and installed the cameras just 2 weeks before the robbery, after hearing that crimes against the elderly were on the rise. The young woman suddenly said she felt ill and asked for a wet towel, probably to hide her face from the cameras. The robbers made up an excuse and quickly left the house. In just a short time inside the house, the female robber, Katie Stereo, had stolen personal property. Corazon discovered the theft right after the pair left the house.
She took 2 credit cards and debit card and my gift cards.
Stereo was well known to authorities.
She was on probation. I remember distinctly convicting Katie Stereo of theft in the first degree, of targeting a senior gentleman and trying to get over $100,000 from him.
The video from the Formales robbery helped put her away.
Because of her being on probation, because of the evidence we were able to collect, Ms. Stereo is now serving 10 years in jail.
It's been a bitter lesson for the Mililani retirees.
I think God gave you that character, trusting people, but I would say don't trust too much.
If you or someone you know is a victim of abuse, there are places to go for help, beginning with a call to 911 if a crime such as assault or theft has occurred. AARP has a website with warnings and information regarding scams targeting the elderly. The state's Adult Protective Services assists our most vulnerable citizens, those disabled or unable to care for themselves. There's a 24-hour hotline on each island. The City Department of Community Services Elderly Affairs Division staffs a call center and conducts in-home assessments to determine appropriate service referrals. In cases of domestic violence, the Domestic Violence Action Center helpline is at 531-3771. Let's all review the care, not just of the elderly we are responsible for, but also those we care about. We must stop those who target the elderly. Thank you for joining us. I'm Matt Levi. Good night.
Matt Levi Investigates is brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes. HMSA, caring for our kupuna and Hawaii's families. It's our promise and our privilege. Kamehameha Schools. HGEA, 42,000 strong, working for Hawaii. Hawaiian Electric, empowering you. Hawaii Pacific Health, creating a healthier Hawaii.